Hi, my name is Karmen Tornius, and I will briefly walk you through my research article called Pan-African Gender Governance, the Politics of Aspiration at the African Union. The African Union has an elaborate gender architecture of policies, legal frameworks, institutions, and campaigns on women's rights and gender equality. At the same time, the member states are rather reluctant to comply with, domesticate, or take accountability for the implementation of this regional gender agenda. So in this article, I operationalized the concept of aspirational politics to unpack this tension. I am building on 5 months of fieldwork in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, where the African Union Commission is located, as well as more than 60 interviews with diverse stakeholders and extensive event observations online. And I am arguing that focusing on the actors who push the agenda at the bureaucratic and expert levels can reveal the relational nature of setting ambitious regional gender equality goals. The article shows that normative change on gender equality involves aspirational politics as an everyday or day-to-day effort to keep gender equality issues, as well as perhaps some other social justice issues, on the agenda. The politics of aspiration was initially theorized by Martha Finnemore and Michelle Yurkovich in their article that came out in 2020. And the article has the same name, The Politics of Aspiration. And in this article, they present a concept through which we can understand why states regularly commit to and adopt ambitious and lofty goals which they are unlikely to achieve. So politics of aspiration are focused on agreeing on shared future imaginaries and mobilizing actors around those imaginaries. According to Finnemore and Yurkovich, the politics of aspiration are future-oriented and they're not confined by feasibility. So building on their work and bringing it into dialogue with literature on governance through goal setting, as well as anthropological perspectives on human rights, I'm exploring and asking the extent to which international human rights regimes' practices are aspirational or involve aspirational politics. In this article, then, I operationalize this relatively novel or recent concept of aspirational politics in a specific international governance context, and I am asking how it can help us in unpacking African regional gender governance. The article argues that at the center of aspirational politics of the African Union's gender governance are femocrats. Femocrats are bureaucrats hired into gender committees, units, ministries, or gender desks to advance the gender equality agenda inside or beyond the institution. In the case of the African Union, the creation of gender desk, well, actually it was Organization of African Unity at the time. But the creation of Gender Desk in 1992 then introduced femocrats into the picture as those focal points who could connect a loose network of actors. And within this loose network of actors were donors, UN agencies, civil society groups, of course, member states, as well as African Union Commission actors and bureaucrats. The femocrats then mobilized these networks, or this network more so, in order to advance and institutionalize gender equality agenda in the African Union. So in this article, I go into detail how femocrats facilitated norm entrepreneurship and how femocrats enabled their network in a way that resulted in unprecedented regional women's rights frameworks. They also facilitated African Union gender policy, institutionalized civil society access to the African Union, campaigns on issues such as female genital mutilation and eliminating child marriage, and an architecture for women, peace and security within the African Union institutions. At the same time, the member states are perhaps the most reluctant members of this network. They are likely to perceive femocrats and the African Union Commission itself as yet another actor to negotiate with. And the member states' commitment to aspirational goals might be characterized by aspirational fatigue, another concept that Finnemore and Yurkovich coined in their article. After working on it, with it a little bit, I am proposing that aspirational fatigue can be understood as fading commitment and competing priorities in the context of already existing limited collective buy-in into a normative agenda. As a result, Democrats are able to promote and advance a gender agenda which is difficult to openly contest and disagree with. But at the same time, it's also an agenda that the member states lack ownership of. By focusing in on the actors of aspirational politics, the article has shown how aspirational politics can be studied through looking at mobilization of actors and how agreements on shared future aspirations are achieved in this context of regional governance. Aspirational politics can then unpack the political work that goes into creating, enabling, and sustaining shared aspirations for a future. Information sharing, capacity building, training, and campaigns are then part of future making. Even when normative ideas on issues such as child marriage or female genital mutilation are adopted into legislation, the politics of aspiration around eliminating those practices on the ground or different localities continues. To that extent, the article has also highlighted the role of characters who are situated in the middle or perhaps the secondary characters. The Democrats are by no means the power holders in the African regional governance, but they are definitely far away from being the subaltern as well. Therefore, the article has shown and argued for the need to understand the social origins and the relational nature of normative shifts and changes at the governance level. I will leave it at that. I hope you find the article interesting. Thank you very much for listening.